One of the one of the issues that you described was Daymon Worldwide not yet being a real household name, but you sound passionate about a plan to make it more of a well-known company, even though it's already a super successful company. What's HR's role in changing that or in driving the business forward?
Well, this part is pretty easy because a lot of this comes from the challenge to me from our CEO. So he measures success. He wants to know and passionate about when we post a job, how many people are applying for it. If we have a long line of people at all times trying to beat down the door to get into Daymon, then now we know that we've been successful. It's about the health of our reputation. And so we're going to have significant uptick in our efforts to have people understand who we are. So Daymon as a company was grounded in being the secret weapon of retailers. That means we were willing to sit silent and allow them to be successful, and we played a significant part in that. And so now we're moving beyond that, where we want to be clear that here's who we are, and we help our retail partners and our suppliers, and we make the cash register ring, as we like to say. So all those things come together. It really does start with the CEO. And he fosters that culture and that environment and allows me to do my part in it. But that's a different measurement that even I, as an HR professional, really didn't think about. You know, we talk about the quality of candidates and we talk about how quickly we can fill a role. But just when you start talking about the sheer number of people, how many people went to apply for the job and how quickly did they apply, says much to do about the reputation, because that means people are constantly looking at Daymon and waiting for us to invite people in to the organization.
And what are some of the things that you can do in the HR role to positively affect that?
I would say even time just like this. So the more that I can come to institutions like the University of South Carolina, spend time with you and the students here, the more they hear about Daymon, the more that they can learn about our great company and how big we are and how truly global we are, and get that name out. That is tremendous. The more that we can do in social media, and the best thing we can do is be successful as an organization. And the more that we're successful, which is really through helping our customers be more successful, that's going to do a tremendous amount for our reputation and the health of our organization. So you have to be successful first. You can do all these other things, but if you're not a great company, it's not going to matter. So we've been great for 45 years, and it is touting our own reputation a little bit and letting people know a little bit more about us. And that's on us to do, but it does start at its core with success.
So along these lines, in terms of talking about, we were talking about outreach and helping the image and even coming down here, which we sincerely appreciate. Thank you. But you have a unique perspective on who you're really talking to when you're trying to talk about generating employees and retaining top talent. You mentioned it in terms of their loved ones. Can you describe a little bit about what that philosophy is like?
Well, where organizations fail, whether or not it's good messages or bad messages, organizations fail to understand who they're really talking to. So organizations, and for me as a leader, I have to think about, understand that I'm talking to the loved ones of people who work for Daymon. So I know that sounds strange initially. So here's how the concept works. So you have a big meeting about a great opportunity or a great challenge. Then that associate hears it, and that associate has to take it home and share it with the people who love him or her. And how they receive it is so important, because then the messages come back in how they speak about the company. So I'll use this as an example. So let's say that we have information about we're going to be moving people around and changing how we're structured globally. That's not accurate, it's just an example. And so then you talk to people openly about it. And if you give part of the information, it could be just because the business is expanding, it's doing really well. Here are our forecasts, here's who we think we can be and do. But if you leave that part out, they go back and the message to the family is, oh yeah, they're making a lot of changes at work. Well, then what does that mean for you? How's that going to impact you? How's that going to impact us? Are we going to have to move? Well, we've already made a decision we don't want to move because our son is a senior now in high school. We can't move right now. And so all of a sudden, there's this internal stress that we've created because we failed to give all the proper messages that we could to our associate so that associate can take it home. Because that immense pressure that can happen in a household, good or bad. Now, if there's a pattern of us openly communicating in a transparent way, in ways that are positive for our associates, here's what happens. So then, I have to work all weekend on this huge project that I need to get over the line. And I know we have these family plans scheduled. Hey, but you know what? Now I'm speaking as that loved one. But you know what? They've supported you throughout the years. They've always treated you in the right way. So every now and again, I understand that you have to do this, and that's okay. We got this covered. So they can remind you, they can actually help us with the messaging, but we feel like we can only talk to our associates, but at the end, you're talking to the people who know them and love them. So the better you can make these messages clear and easy and concise, but all encompassing, good, bad, what are the opportunities, the better it will be for us to retain them. So the best way I say to retain people, I tell this to my staff all the time, Mrs. Williams knows how to go look for a job too. So for me, so she can say, hey, I found out about this really great job. Maybe you should think about it because where you are is putting way too much stress on you and on the family. So the more that she has positive messages, the more she's going to reinforce that and remind me that I truly work for a special and great place.
Along many of the things that you've talked about, which incorporates changing the culture, changing the people's, both their attitudes and the people when you have to. But all of this sounds like it is doing more about organizational values rather than just what would have been traditional HR activities. Can you say anything about what you think, how HR is transitioning to becoming more business-oriented, value-driven than it used to be just HR as an activity?
So HR as a function, we've been challenged in this area by the business for a long, long time. So rather than being those partners that really help drive their business, then we've been comfortable in many instances concentrating on activities that we need to do. Oh, we need to do this compliance thing and we have to do this. Well, the business expects us to do all those things. That's not what they want to talk about. They want to talk about how they can drive their business, how we can grow the top line, control the bottom line in some respects to get to where we need to be as an organization. So the more that we talk like that and meet them where they are. So one of the largest barriers between people is language. So you ever go someplace you can't speak the language and you're really struggling, they're struggling, and you can't communicate in the way in which you need to. Well, it's the same way here. We have a tendency to fall into HR jargon and HR speak, and that's not what business people want to hear or can hear, and they're not receiving it in the way in which we want to. So we have to speak to them how they want to hear it. And it's about value. It's about what they deem as being valuable. And most leaders understand the importance of HR. Not all understands the value of HR, and it's up to us as HR professionals to bring them along and educate them when it comes to the value. But we have to show them the value based on their perception. Here's how the value is going to drive your business, not about activities. HR people globally are busy. It's not like we're not doing anything, but we have to challenge ourselves all the time. Are we just performing activities? Are we truly bringing value to the organization? And the more that we can look at certain activities and really divide them up, here's what I must do, but then these other 3 or 4 things, do I really have to do them? Or can I spend more time on upgrading the talent, coming up with a better overall business strategic plan, knowing that talent is a significant part of it, having the conversation with the leaders to think about his or her business in a different way relative to talent, relative to sales, relative to marketing, but it will all come back to talent. So we don't have to worry about whether or not we should be a part of the conversation. It's just when you're invited in, what value are you bringing at all times? And value over time is always going to outweigh activities.
So here at the Center for Executive Succession, naturally, one of the questions we always want to know more about is executive succession. Can you share with us your view on HR's role in C-suite succession and CEO succession, perhaps?
Yeah, very interesting topic because I know different CHROs and HR professionals think about it in different ways. So I'll give you my perspective. HR, we are stewards of executive succession. We don't own it. Uh, CEO succession, owned by the CEO and the board. We're stewards of it. We facilitate the process. We make sure the quality of the dialogue is there and that we're clear on the activities tied to the value that need to happen to have the succession in place, identify the gaps, identify the opportunities. So at all times, we're working to be stewards of it, which means we ultimately don't own it. That when I work with our CEO, Jim Holbrook, we're talking about the organization directionally where he wants to take it. Then we're advancing the conversation relative, do we have the leadership and the talent in order to do it? And so then now the dialogue changes and he owns it. I'm just his steward, his facilitator, his advisor, and most times I'm executing the plan along with him. When we're discussing these things with the board, again, I'm the steward of it. So HR has to remember its role in this process, because if we forget it and we step in the wrong place and we feel like we own it, then if we take accountability for ownership of it and we're not the decision maker, then there's a breakdown in how the process should work. So we as leaders in HR, we should be spending a significant amount of time on it. I do. I think about it all the time, and not just at the C-suite level, but you have to think about it the next level and the next level in order to have succession in place for the C-suite executives. But we do not own it. We have responsibility for it, but we do not have full accountability. We're working along with the CEOs that we support and the boards that we work with on behalf of supporting the CEO.
So, as stewards to this process and responsible for helping facilitate the CEO and the board, who do you think of as working for it? Do you work for the CEO or the board?
I work for the CEO. I work for the CEO. And if any head of HR forgets that, then he or she probably will not be in that position long. That you can be an advisor to the board. The board will ask questions, and I work directly with the head of the compensation committee, and I speak with the board, but seldomly is it independent of the CEO, and usually it's in preparation for a meeting when it is independent, but the CEO knows before and after and knows what I plan to say and how I'm going to say it. So for every head of HR, he or she needs to understand clearly that they work for the CEO, without a doubt.
Thank you very much for all of the conversation and the help here today and the guidance you've been providing us and the students. We sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you.
You've listened to another CHRO conversation. Today, Jerrold Williams shared with us yet again how HR is the agent for change in organizations. So if you're interested in really being a change agent, HR is the place to be. On behalf of all of us here at the Center for Executive Succession and those associated with the Masters of Human Resource program at the Darla Moore School of Business, thank you very much for joining us.